Hi, I'm Rohan.
Hello, I'm Enrico.
Today I'm going to be interviewing Enrico, who majored in electrical engineering and computer science at MIT. So to start
Well,
off,
yeah, nice to meet you on. And yeah, go ahead.
yeah. So I guess my first question is, what made you want to do electrical engineering and computer science?
Um, well, for me, that's a whole big journey because I was originally a physics diehard. So, I was always interested in physics, growing up in elementary, middle school, high school, and all the way to college. And I did a little bit of physics and up until I did some research. And once I did a research, I felt like I wanted to try out other stuff before I kept going for that trajectory. And I went ahead and tried many different majors, such as material science. And then I tried just electrical engineering, and then I tried computer science. So yeah, I can dive deeper into all that also if you want to know more.
Yeah. I guess before that, what gave you this? I'm sure to get into MIT, you also did a ton of stuff in STEM just during high school.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did a lot of math team stuff. So I was always into math. And I also just did, you may have heard of like the AP classes.
Yeah.
I had good grades. Um, I had extracurriculars, played sports. And I think what kind of gave me the confidence of even applying to my T was that I was always moving around a lot in high school and middle school to different schools. And every time that I moved, I always ended up being kind of like the nerd. And it made me realize, well, maybe there's a pattern here. Maybe through all these like data points, maybe I am like smart enough to apply to MIT. And so I gave it a shot, and I did get in.
Yeah. So, yeah. So what was your experience like at MIT then? What made you not like physics?
Um, so for me, I think I really liked learning physics. Um, and it's still something that I really like learning. However, I think the idea of like researching it was just a little too slow for me, and it was not the lifestyle that I wanted, at least. Um, and so yeah, it's more of just wanting to of being okay of letting go with like an idea that I created when I was very young, when I was like basically still developing my mind and being open to new ideas. And that's kind of like the mentality that I had when it came to trying out new things.
Yeah. Um, did you do a lot of research in it when you had come to MIT?
Yes, but of course I had this bias, because I had spent so much of my time being like interested in physics. I was like, well, I want to be ahead in physics, and I want to do all this stuff. So of course I did some research, and I tried a few other things, but very easily I think I would like not consider other things because I had this small bias in my head that, I just want to do physics. So up until I could put so much time into it that I realized, now it's a good time to actually try out other stuff. But yeah, I did do quite a bit of research, and I guess that's why I did a few majors while I was at MIT. So like 1 to 2 years was full of like just testing out different stuff until I was very confident into what I chose.
Yeah. So you said your other materials, you did computer science and then electrical engineering and then
That
computer science.
yeah. So I went from physics to material science to just electrical engineering to then electrical engineering and computer science, which is like one major actually, EECS.
Yeah.
So so yeah.
Yeah. What was it like doing computer science at MIT?
Um, hmm. Well, I don't have much of a baseline comparing to other schools, but of course I felt like it was hard. At first, it was mostly because I was pretty new, and there's a bunch of people that just seem to be very smart. Uh, and they can be kind of intimidating to try to be in classes with them. But I think that is kind of like the nice part of being in a competitive school, and that is that you kind of like learn to do the best as you can regardless of whatever anyone else is doing, and just even like learn from them. So it was very at the end of the day like kind of inspiring and kind of humbling, can getting to know all these personalities that of people that are really hardworking, which I'm pretty sure that you get in many other universities as well.
Yeah. I know, like you said, you didn't have a baseline from other universities, but I've heard plenty of things about how MIT likes to slam students with homework, tests, and assignments.
Yeah, definitely. So I I definitely was always on the grind, sleepless nights, but it's okay because you have other friends that are doing it and it's the norm. And usually a lot of people that get into MIT are the people that are used to that type of work anyways in high school. So so it wasn't too much of a culture shock for me, at least. Although I do know it was for some other people.
Yeah. So moving on then, what was your first job?
Well, I had a few internships. I'm not sure if you would consider them jobs, but I'll go through them anyway. So, like, I had like the physics internship. I had a kind of like signal processing internship. It's kind of like I worked for a NASA adjacent project, and it was basically just some type of computer sciencey things, but it was to deploy a specific like box to space, and I thought that was really cool. And then after that, I worked for a long time in finance, and
Mm.
I tried different stuff in finance, and up until I started to get more and more back into engineering and computer science, which is what I'm doing right now. So yeah, that's mostly part of the reason why I don't think I mentioned it, but currently I'm in New York, which is very known to be very fancy and techy.
Yeah. When you were in finance, were you using computer science
Oh yeah, yeah.
and stuff?
I was always doing that.
Yeah.
So I always make sure to do that. I chose finance at first because I was like, you know what, I really like math. I want to continue trying it. But I realized that I also really like computer science. So slowly I transitioned back into computer science, which is nice.
Yeah. So what's your current job?
My current job, so it's like undisclosed on LinkedIn, and I would rather keep it that way. But it still has to do a lot with computer science. It has to do with specific parts in computer science that I like, which is in Web3 blockchain stuff, which I think is it's just a nice like technology that keeps me like interested. So yeah. Actually, I kind of just started like 2 weeks ago. So even I myself don't really know much about the role itself, but so far I've been really enjoying the process.
Yeah. Um, so what's your how long you been in New York then? Since you graduated
Mm,
or
I've been in New York since I graduated for 3 years. Yeah. Well, 3 years in 5 days. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, what's your experience been like there? Are you working remotely or
Yeah. So before I used to work in an office, which I didn't like, mostly because I didn't feel like there was a need for me to be in office. I was specifically the job that I was in. So I decided to look for a job that I work remotely in, which I do now. And now I'm considering living in New York. In fact, I'm in the middle of like packing things, maybe working from different countries, or maybe just working from another techie city like San Francisco, something that keeps my mind busy every day. So yeah,
do you have any idea on where you want to go right after this?
I think San Francisco. Actually, I'm gonna go to San Francisco tomorrow to check out and do some apartment hunting.
Yeah. I was about to
Yeah.
ask you if you wanted to get out of New York because it was too expensive, and then you said San Francisco. But
You know, uh, San Francisco's way cheaper than New York,
is it?
surprisingly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, I think for me at this stage in my life, it is not the most smart thing for me to work somewhere that is like, let's say, very cheap if I have to go against not being able to meet so many people and like network with
Yeah,
people, just have like a good life experience. So I do want to be in busy places um at this point in my career, just because I feel like there's so much growth I've had for me living in New York for the past 3 years.
yeah. Um, Speaking on kind of like that part, outside of your job, I know especially you said you worked in finance, they can give you like tons and tons of hours to work. What was your experience like with that? Do you get much free time or
uh I think I did, mostly because I always chose to be in the roles that gave me more free time. So in my internship, I knew that that role wasn't going to give me much free time. And at the same time, it wasn't going to improve my engineering skills as much as I wanted to. So I switched to more towards a more like core engineering team, and core engineering teams kind of realized that it's not about like how much work you put in, but it's about how smart you work, even in a place that is in finance. So I did end up having a good work-life balance myself, to where I was basically had my evenings free and such. So that has been nice.
yeah. And I'm sure that's much, much better even now because you're working remotely.
Yeah, which I'm trying to understand right now too. But yeah.
Yeah. So my next question is, do you have any advice for someone who's still in high school who knows they want to become an engineer?
Mm, yeah, so actually, just like you, my sister is a junior who just who's gonna become a senior in high school, and so I always am like kind of trying to help her out. And I think any advice is just kind of like follow exactly what you think is right, but like work hard towards it. Because honestly, as long as you enjoy what you're doing slightly or believe in what you're doing, that makes working hard at it that much more easy. It makes like waking up at 5 a.m. a lot more easy and such, or like staying in sleepless night a lot more easy. So just always find like the core reason on why you're doing what you're doing, even if it takes like a few hours or days to really understand. And then once you do get why you're doing what you're doing, just execute for it as long as you need.
Yeah. Um, as my last big question, uh, what are your hobbies? What do you like to do outside of work?
Mm, so I think for me, I've always been a hobby collector. So that changes throughout time. Growing up, I always liked soccer and and video games. But then recently I have been trying to do different things such as like yeah, running or dancing. I've been really into breakdancing and calisthenics recently. I've been trying to get into playing music and creating music through like software. And I really like trying to understand and empathize with people. So I also like to like meet people and talk to them, get to know their stories, just like you are right now. I think that's always nice to do. So yeah, I think that those are some of my hobbies, and I'm always open to new hobbies. So if you have any hobbies yourself you want to share, what are your hobbies? I'd love to know.
Yeah, I've been doing tons of biking lately. Um,
Nice.
got home from
What
a ride 10 minutes before this meeting, but
what type of biking?
distance. I did a 100 miler 2 weeks ago, actually.
Geez, 100 miles? Whoa. You know, that's something I don't know too much about, like distance biking. So now I'm actually very curious about it. Do you have like a very like light bike that you can carry super easy and stuff
No.
like that?
No, I've been going to the bike store and looking at them, and they're expensive, but I'm hoping by next summer I could probably save up for one.
Nice. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know. I tried to do a bike race at duathlon, and I was not smart enough to rent
Biking
one
and
of the
running?
like, yeah, yeah. And I was not smart enough to rent one of the like the light bikes, so I just rented because it was like 3 times more expensive. So I was like, oh, what's the difference? So I tried one of the like the more like street like normal heavy. weight bikes, and there was a huge difference. Everyone passed me when everyone that was using the light bike, so
What
thought
was
it
the
was really
distance
fun.
for it?
Um, I think the biking portion was just like 10 miles, and the race itself was probably like 5. Um, so it wasn't like that long, but it was enough for me to like really understand like the biking scene.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But yeah. Also, how many pull-ups can you do? You said you do calisthenics.
Oh, pull-ups. Actually, I can do a good amount, but I don't want to say mostly because there's always those jokes of people that say they do many pull-ups and then you see their pull-ups and it's the worst form ever. But but I will say I can do with good form around 20. Yeah. Mm.
I got on the pull-up grind for a couple months, got up to 15 and then gave up. So guessing I'm
Nice.
around 10 right now.
I think what was a good motivator for me is that in high school there was like always like those like military people that came in with like the pull-up bar, and they were like, if you can do 20 pull-ups, you get this free thing. So that kind of motivates me always to like try to be able to do 20.
But yeah, um, I guess that was it then. Uh, thanks for meeting with me.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and like of course I would ask you more about yourself, but I think I can probably figure that out outside the recording. So awesome.
But yeah, thank you.
Yeah, all right. Bye-bye.